Hey, Telemon Exiles, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about where things have ended up with my Poison Pathfinder, and why I'm not playing it anymore, which may be surprising for some people. It is an increasingly popular build, and I just am not feeling it. So I'm going to talk you through all of that. First of all, I am going to go over how I'm playing the character currently, and talk about the abilities that I'm using, the math of what's going on, and if you follow my last videos, this all should be very in line with what you probably know or have already experimented with in the game. But I just thought I'd go through the details. So I'm obviously using Poisonous Concoction here. Is it good? Yes, it is very good. You have to use Scattershot with this. Deadly Poison's highly recommended. Core Morbidity is fine, but I don't know if it helps that much. Bursting Plague is great on this. I'm not currently using the arrow. I am throwing out Vine Arrows. I would say that this is definitely the least impactful skill of this setup. It maybe helps a little bit, but really not that great. I am throwing out Toxic Growths in the latest iteration of this. I went through a bunch of experiments with, like, okay, I have my bottles. What else can I do with my bottles? Toxic Growth didn't necessarily have the greatest DPS impact anymore, like Endgame scale, but it did have the greatest survivability impact. And then just throwing Culling Strike on it makes it worth it alone, instead of having to use a slot on the bottle for that. So I at this point, I just always am going to have Culling Strike. There's just too much. You could think of it as like always a 5 or 10% DPS boost, in that when the rare or unique is at 10 or 5%, you can just throw this out and they're dead. So you don't have to deal with that portion of their health bar. And that's hugely worth it for all kinds of reasons. Eliminates a lot of, like, late boss wipes and stuff like that. Voltaic Mark is what I'm using just as a damage boost mark. I'm running Plague Bearer, I'm running Alchemist Boon, I'm running Wind Dancer. Plague Bearer, I'm only running this because I'm throwing out Toxic Growth, and it's kind of, Toxic Growth isn't worth it unless you've put on Plague Bearer for reasons that we've already discussed in the previous video. That's all fine. All works fine. It's all great. There's nothing wrong with any of this. In terms of how the abilities work, the DPS they do. There's other variations on this theme that you could play around with for sure. And I understand. I've watched other creator stuff. I get why they're doing what they're doing. I'm more of as, fooling around with it, seeing how things feel, wanting to kind of explore all the different options. And this is kind of the most stable endgame mapper setup that I could find. As far as concoctions maths, let's get into that. So if you're familiar with my previous two videos, this should be super familiar to you. 1,000 hit with a no damage multiplier, resulting in 1,000 base poison magnitude of 20%. No magnitude on that multiplier will give you 200 for all other poison application skills that you can possibly use, except for concoction, which does all of that and gets that 200 number and then doubles whatever it gets there. And so concoction gives you per stack literally twice whatever you were already doing. So when you've added on your physical hit multipliers, you've added on your poison magnitude multipliers or ailment magnitude multipliers, whatever you get at the end is going to get doubled if you've thrown a bottle to get that stack of poison. And that is literally as good as it gets. That's the best thing that you can do, is throw a poison bottle at something. So, is that good? Yes, it's great. It's nice. Concoction challenges. So, going back to in-game here, the biggest issue with this is right here. It's attack time. The base, I think, is just over a second with no abilities, like 1.2 maybe. I've got this down to 0.7. it hurts so much that to having to go for overwhelming toxicity, because I really want to go over here and grab 4% skill speed. I'm obviously taking Falcon Technique, which does for sure affect it, as well as acceleration down here. Skill speed also affects it, and I'm taking anything else I can possibly find that says attacker skill speed. The time to throw the bottle is honestly the biggest problem with this whole setup, and I'll talk about that more. So I'm just doing whatever I can to mitigate that throw speed, and just get it over with as fast as possible. Projectile speed is also very impactful for this. When you throw the bottles, they take a while to get over yonder. And so what you naturally end up doing is that you just stand very close to whatever you're trying to hit instead of throwing from a distance. And that decreases your survivability by a pretty wide margin. You were no longer a ranged character when you were playing this character, essentially, in practice. Because you just can't... Your brain is not going to let you throw bottles like this, especially because at that point, it's a skill shot. If a monster, or let's say Gwennon is over here, I'm over here, and she's charging at me from off screen, and I throw the bottle where she's at, with the movement speed modifiers of endgame map mobs, she is going to be in my lap when my bottles hit over here. And so inevitably you are always just hitting shots closer to you because it is more predictable where and when the creature is going to be in order to hit them with the bottle. Unlike Gas Cloud, you can't just throw this in an area and have them walk through it. It has to hit them. Sorry. No, I'm not going to thanks. It has to hit them. Like, it physically has to hit them. The projectile has to hit them in order for it to apply stacks. So there's a little bit of area, but it's so small that it almost doesn't matter. And it only matters at the point of impact. Like, the resulting cloud does not then apply stacks of poison to whatever walks through it. That's the important thing. So it's better DPS, but it comes with a bunch of drawbacks. And part of those drawbacks can be heavily mitigated by whatever attack and skill speed you can put on in order to shorten the throw time. Because again, thing rushing at you, you throw, they run past the bottle or run past the initial throw of the bottle, and then your bottle is just like airmailing it, and they're in your lap hitting you, and now you have burned your flash charges and you're not doing DPS. So that's a problem. I think that sums up the challenges with concoctions, and it also sums up your options for how to mitigate them when it comes to poison in particular. What is the end result of this? I'm going to show some endgame play here, and I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of playing Gas Cloud Toxic Growth Plague Bearer build versus concoctions. Toxic Growth Gas Arrow, you feel in control of the map. You feel in control of the area that you're standing in. You will always have a way to kite things around, get out of trouble, be doing damage while not standing in the place where you don't want to be standing. I never feel that when I'm playing Poison Bottle. The feeling that you get immediately when you switch from one to the other and switch back and forth is when you're throwing bottles, you are running for your life constantly. I'm always on the run. I'm always trying to get away. Everything's in my lap. Everything's hitting me in the face. There's no safe space to be in. And I'm just desperately trying to apply poison stacks to get things dead before they can kill me. I have no way to control anything, and this is where I get to the earlier comment about Vine Arrow. Vine Arrow is doing nothing for me. Vine Arrow, you are not my friend. You are not helping me. We are not on a text chain anymore. Blocked you on Facebook. Like, Vine Arrow ain't it. And so, unless there's other convenient ways to to get CC. That's all it comes down to. If I can't CC, if I can't control the mobs while I am waiting for my poison stacks to apply damage to them, then I'm always going to be dying. And that is, I mean, you learn to kind of compensate for it, but I never feel comfortable. I never feel like, oh, this is fun, I'm awesome, I feel powerful, ARPG power fantasy. That's not the feeling that I personally get when I play this character. And that's the issue. That's all it boils down to. If you combine that with the issues with Endgame overall, that many other content creators have addressed and talked about, it's all over Reddit, it's all over the forums. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. You know all the stuff that we're talking about. The feeling, the overall thing that I walk away from all of this is, I know for a fact that I can continue to beat my head against the wall. I can continue to improve this character. I can continue to find gear and skills and neat little tricks and things and experiment with other skill gems and whatever. I can find a way to make this character work in Endgame. I just don't want to. And that's the issue. That's why I haven't played this character in days. I don't care to go through that process with this character because I don't see the payoff on the other side that I want. So, am I glad I played it? Absolutely. I've learned a ton from playing Poison Pathfinder about the mechanics of Path of Exile 2. I've learned a bunch of options about how to gear, how to skill, the math of the game, about endgame mechanics. You know, I went through, I don't know, 30, 40 maps. And again, I could get through them. It just, was it ever fun? No, it wasn't. So I have decided to go ahead and level another Pathfinder who's not playing poisons, and it is just hilariously fun. And I have a follow-up video about that. I'm going to release these two together so that you can just go straight on to seeing what I'm up to now. But I thought this was, you know, its own topic. If you're playing Poison Pathfinder, I hope you're having a blast. I don't know if you found this helpful. Again, this is just my experience and my takeaway. But if you find yourself in the same boat where you've gotten into an endgame and you thought, well, then, you know, there's some other options while still staying in this Pathfinder vein. They could be very fun. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and record that other video, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great day. Hope you're having fun.